What is up? Welcome into yet another edition of Benstant Reaction, a spin-off of the Ben Garcia Show where we react to anything going on in the world of the sports that is breaking news. Maybe it's a big game, a trade, whatever it is in sports, we are reacting to it. We call it Benstant Reaction. Last night there was a game on that maybe some of America watched. A lot of people were out trick-or-treating. Happy Halloween to you. I hope it was great. Thanksgiving is on the horizon, and some teams are separating from the pack, and some teams, for not so good reasons, are also separating from the pack. I'll give you my opinion on this Houston Texans New York Jets game for last night, where the Jets defeated the Texans 21-13. But first, thank you so much for making this a part of your day, whether you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify for free, on the iHeartRadio app, or you're putting a face to the voice, and you're watching on YouTube. We appreciate that as well. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, maybe even tell a friend about the Ben Garcia Show, if you so do so. Let's jump right into this game. So last night, the New York Jets snap a losing streak of, I think it was 5 games in a row, if I'm not mistaken. They moved to 3-6. The Houston Texans moved to 6-3. I'll give you my thoughts on both teams, but let's start with the Jets. And then I'll wrap it up with some thoughts on the Texans, who I do believe can be a real contender. So stick around for that. This game changes nothing for me if you're the New York Jets. A good win at home on a short week where you're playing a team that is so utterly injured. They just lost another guard today. Will Anderson hurt his ankle last night. Guys were dropping like flies all night long. Stephon Diggs, torn ACL. Nico Collins got a hamstring issue. It was Tank Dell, Joe Mixon, CJ Stroud, and a bunch of guys who I think block worse than I do on the offensive line trying to keep CJ Stroud up straight. This doesn't change anything for the New York Jets. Maybe rattle off 4 or 5 more wins in a row, and then I'll start to take you seriously. This is an unserious organization that struggled mightily in this game for the first half entirely and some of the third quarter. If not for a Garrett Wilson miraculous catch in the back of the end zone in which it was kind of an off-target throw, this Jets team falls to 2-7. And we are really writing them off. I've already written them off, but some people still have faith in this team that they might actually be able to do something this year. Don't take the Jets seriously until they force you to take them seriously. As much as I've loved Aaron Rodgers over the year, not just the person, but the player, I think he's fascinating. He's become more of a circus act. He's on his last legs. He's not exactly playing like Aaron Rodgers did in the prime of his career. His best game last night, and most of that came off of a miraculous catch from Garrett Wilson. So until this team forces us to take them seriously by winning 5, 6, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games in a row, and forces you to look at them in the playoff picture and take them seriously as a legitimate playoff threat, I'm not taking the Jets seriously. I'm not taking Aaron Rodgers seriously. I'm not taking this front office seriously. I'm not taking this coaching staff seriously. And neither should you until they finally make you do so. And a win at home on a short week against a team that is so injury-riddled it's not even funny doesn't move the needle for me. And that takes me over to the Houston Texans. You know, I saved this rant, but they just played on prime time. It might be time to throw this take out there. And I think it's an interesting take. We've already seen the Buffalo Bills go up against the Kansas City Chiefs multiple times in the playoffs, multiple times they come up short. We've already seen the Baltimore Ravens in the playoffs and even against the Chiefs in the playoffs, and they come up short. There's only one team that's still a mystery about how they would match up against the Kansas City Chiefs. And I've been thinking about this for a while. If you're taking someone else out of the AFC that isn't the Kansas City Chiefs, I believe at this point, if you're doing that, not preseason, like I didn't take the Chiefs in the preseason. I just think it's incredibly hard to win 3 straight or get to the Super Bowl 3 straight times, even at that. But if you're picking another team to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl, I believe that's more of a wish and not exactly something that you think is going to happen. It's like you might want this political candidate to win the presidency, but in your heart of hearts, you know who actually will win. Or at least that's how you feel who will win. We haven't seen what the Houston Texans, this version clearly of the Houston Texans, we know this Deshaun Watson-led Texans team at one point, did go to the playoffs, did face Patrick Mahomes, did get up 21-0, and then did lose. We haven't seen this iteration of the Houston Texans, who are well-coached, have a pretty good pass rush with Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson Jr., pretty good weapons when they're all upright, and an offensive line that is shaky. This Houston Texans team, if they can get healthy, if they can shore up things on the offensive line, if they make a trade for an offensive lineman, I think that they have the best chance to beat the Kansas City Chiefs in the playoffs. Would I take them? No. But as I mentioned before, I've seen the Buffalo Bills against the Chiefs in the playoffs with Sean McDermott. It's just not happening. I've seen Lamar Jackson, although I love the guy. I think he's superbly talented, and I like the Ravens' culture. I've seen them against the Chiefs. It just doesn't work out. The only team that we're not sure about, even though they're coming off a loss to the Jets because they are so injury-riddled it's not even funny, is the Houston Texans. This Texans team, good defense, well-coached, smart, and capable, and intelligent, and fun to watch on offense, and creative on offense. That is what the Texans are. This is the only team right now that I can actually wrap my mind around them potentially dethroning the Chiefs in the AFC. I'm not even sure I would pick it. But this team right now, as injury-riddled as they are, if they want to beat the Chiefs, if they want to show everyone it's possible, they've got to make a trade. And if I'm the Houston Texans, I just lost Stephon Diggs. And these windows in the NFL to compete are so tiny, and they close so quickly unless you're the Kansas City Chiefs. I think there's a trade out there to be made for the Houston Texans to become even better. And I think that trade comes with this. I believe the Houston Texans should shore up their receiving core, should load up offensively, and go trade for Tee Higgins. This is a Bengals team that's kind of spiraling. I don't really see them as a real playoff Super Bowl threat or even an AFC Conference Championship threat. They need to recoup some assets. And they're going to lose him in the offseason for nothing. Or they're not going to pay Jamar Chase and they'll keep Tee Higgins, but that's a story for another day. But it's either for the Bengals. You know you're not a Super Bowl contender. And you know you're going to lose Tee Higgins at the end of the year. And if you're the Texans, if you want to continue to out-talent the Kansas City Chiefs, you owe it to yourself to go get Tee Higgins. And I know it might sound crazy, and I understand they also need to make a trade for an offensive lineman, but that is not as easily to point out and say they should go get that guy. Schemes are different, teams are different. They favor different types of players for different types of positions. But at the wide receiver position, you just need talent. And losing Stephon Diggs really takes away an element of this Texans offense that was humming in the regular season. If you're the Texans and you want to take advantage of your Super Bowl window, that don't tell me it's still open for years to come. Things change in an instant in this league. Go get Tee Higgins. Go replace Stephon Diggs. Go give up a day 3 pick for Tee Higgins to come and shore up your team. Heck, you've got so many young players, you could give up a 3rd or a 4th round pick and not bat an eye. If the Bengals lose again this week, they are going to be looking to have a fire sale, especially for a player that they are not going to be keeping for much longer as soon as the season ends. They would want to get something for him. And if you're the Houston Texans and you're trying to make up for the loss of Stephon Diggs and you're trying to keep up pound for pound, talent for talent with the Kansas City Chiefs who are actively making moves for DeAndre Hopkins, for Josh Uche, you need to step up to the plate and show everyone the Chiefs can be beat. And you do that by getting more talent than them because you are not going to outcoach them. And this CJ Stroud quarterback who's young needs a lot of that support as he continues to develop. And you do not want to wait down the line further and further. Super Bowl windows close in an instant, and they open very briefly. Take advantage of it while you can. And when I was watching the Texans last night, when Nico Collins still out, and we're not so sure when he's going to come back, hamstring injuries can be tricky. They now have a weapons deficiency in the AFC if they want to take down the Chiefs. What fixes that is going and getting another big body threat on the outside who you could even pay because you're not paying your quarterback anything in Tee Higgins. I believe that solves a lot of problems for this Houston Texans offense. They absolutely need to make a move for an offensive lineman as well. They just lost another guard. But for now, the easy fix to help out with the loss of Stephon Diggs is going and shoring up this offensive weaponry with a guy like Tee Higgins. Go make it happen.